All right, Mr. Gerlach, would you please stand and as best you can raise your right hand for me, sir? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can be seated. All right, Mr. Gerlach, a guilty plea hearing is an important hearing because you waive rights that you have when you enter a plea. So I want you to listen carefully. If you have a question, ask me. If you need a minute to talk to your lawyer, you just let me know. I have to advise you of the maximum penalty that you could face for these charges that you're pleading to. Count 1, possession of methamphetamine, is a felony punishable by up to 10 years in prison and or $15,000 fine. Count 2, resisting or obstructing a police deputy, is a felony punishable by up to 2 years and or a $2,000 fine with discretionary consecutive sentencing, meaning that could be the 10 years plus the 2 or for a total of 12. Count 4 is operating while intoxicated by a controlled substance. That's a misdemeanor punishable by up to 93 days in jail and or a $100 to $500 fine and or 360 hours of community service, rehabilitative programs, vehicle immobilization, reimbursement for emergency response, and costs of prosecution. Do you understand the maximum penalty you could face, Mr. Gerlach?
No. Yes, sir.
Okay. And because we record these proceedings so we can have a transcript, I do need you to give a verbal yes or no response, not just nodding ahead.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. All right. And Mr. Gerlach, are you on probation or parole anywhere?
I was on bond, but not probation anymore.
Okay. Did you read and understand the rights listed on the advice of rights form that you just signed there?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me or for Mr. Nightingale about any of those rights?
I think he answered them all for me.
Okay. Do you understand that those are the rights that you would have if you went to a trial? Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And if you plead guilty, you won't have a trial. You'll be giving up those rights.
Yes, sir.
And is that what you want to do today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If I accept your plea, then you can't come back later and tell me that someone threatened you or promised you things to make you enter the plea. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Today would be the day to tell me those things. Tomorrow would be too late. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Also, if you plead guilty, you have a very limited appeal. You lose the right to appeal. And if you wanted to appeal to a higher court to say that me or the prosecutor or the lawyer did anything wrong, then you'd have to ask permission to appeal by filing an application. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, the types of issues you could raise on an appeal by application are very limited, much more limited than if you were convicted, say, after trial. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The plea agreement says that in exchange for your plea to the possession of meth, the RNO, and the operating while intoxicated, the prosecutor will dismiss the remaining charges, dismiss the drug doubles, dismiss the habitual notice, and there's a sentence agreement for a county cap, meaning at sentencing, the most jail I could give you up front would be a year in the county jail. Do you understand the terms of that plea agreement?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a question, that's fine. Go ahead and ask me or your lawyer the question.
Does that mean that the maximum sentence instead of 40 years for the 10 count or 10-year count one would be 365 days?
Well, the maximum penalty for the possession of methamphetamine is the 10 years, but the initial sentence would be 365 days. A year in the jail is the most I could give you.
Okay.
Now, if you're placed on probation, however, and you violate probation, probation could be revoked and there can be a prison sentence in that case.
Okay.
But at our initial sentencing, it would not be a prison sentence. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. So, yeah. Sorry.
That's fine. All right. Now that sentence agreement is not binding on me. If I don't want to follow it, I don't have to.
Yes.
But if I didn't follow it, you could withdraw your plea because you wouldn't have gotten what you bargained for. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, there's an important exception. If you engage in some misconduct, if you get in trouble between now and the sentencing, say by committing a new crime or violating a court order, then you'd lose the right to withdraw the plea, even if I didn't follow that sentence agreement for the county cap. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Other than the plea agreement, has anybody promised you anything to get you to plead guilty?
No, no,
Has anybody threatened you to make you do so?
no, no.
Is doing so your own free choice?
Yes, sir.
Knowing all this, how do you wish to plead to the charge in count 1, possession methamphetamine? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
How do you wish to plead to the charge in count 3, resisting and obstructing Deputy Dutchkowski?
Guilty.
And how do you wish to plead to the charge in count 4, operating while intoxicated?
Guilty.
So, Mr. Gerlach, on September 13th of last year, 2024, were you in Sheboygan County?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, yes.
Okay, were you driving a motor vehicle on M68 in Sheboygan County?
Yes, sir.
And you agree that's a public highway?
Yes, sir.
Before you operated that vehicle, had you consumed a controlled substance, some drugs?
Yes, sir.
And were you under the influence of those drugs when you were driving the car?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you end up having some contact with law enforcement?
Yes, sir.
Deputy Dutchkowski, was he in uniform and you knew he was a police officer?
Yes, sir.
Did he give you some commands that you failed to immediately obey?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What did you do to disobey him? Or to resist him in any way?
When my hand was being put behind my back, this is what I remember. I mean, I could be mistaken exact, but when my hand was put behind my back, it twitched instead of going into the cuffs right away. And so
Okay, so you pulled your hand away as he was trying to arrest you?
that's yeah.
Okay. And were you also at that time in possession of the controlled substance methamphetamine?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know that you had methamphetamine?
Did you know the substance was methamphetamine?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, you look hesitant, and I don't know why that is. It could be a lot of reasons. Sometimes people are hesitant because they're not very excited about pleading guilty to felony charges, and I get that, and that's okay. If you're hesitating because you don't think you're guilty of those, then I don't want you pleading guilty to.
I am guilty.
Okay.
I'm hesitant because I'm online and I'm afraid of what people will look at me on
Okay.
in public.
Okay. All right. Did you have any lawful authority to possess methamphetamine?
No.
Okay, Mr. Nightingale, are you satisfied with the factual basis?
All right, thank you.
Ms. Goodrich, are you
Yes.
satisfied? Mr. Nightingale, are you aware of any other crimes, destruction, inducements?
No.
And do you believe I've complied with MCR 6.3?
The court has.
Ms. Goodrich, do you agree on those counts?
Yes. You know, I do have an amended, sorry, to remove the drug double from.
Okay. Do you consent to that filing?
I do, yes.
So the amended information is accepted for filing then. Removes the drug double of count 1. Mr. Gerlach, I find that your plea is knowingly, understandingly, and voluntarily made, and that there is a sufficient basis in fact and law to believe that you're guilty of those offenses. So I hereby accept your plea. We'll schedule sentencing for June 10th at 9:30 a.m. And you'll have to cooperate with a pre-sentence interview so they can write a report for me to make recommendations. And I guess, Mr. Nightingale, I'd propose just continuing the bond hearing. And then at sentencing, we'll probably just dispense with that.
That's, I think, fair. Can I have just 1 second to explain that to him?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you on June 10th, Mr. Gerlach, okay?